Hello and welcome to the Skies of Harmony podcast. So on this podcast we talk about Doctor Who, new, old, new news, not old news because that would be pointless, and just anything Doctor Who.
2005?
Yeah,
This happened.
yeah, back in 2005 there were rumours.
They've just announced decades ago.
Yeah, Billy Piper's leaving. See, how do you feel about that, Conrad? That's crazy. Billy Piper's leaving in 2006. But no. So here we are.
Are we?
Another week in isolation. The hair's slightly longer. Yeah. I really love comparing like our first week one to this one now because it's like crazy just seeing how much it's grown.
It's kind of reached the bottom of my neck now, kind of.
I just want a haircut, man.
I kind of like it a bit longer, to be honest.
Oh, it's gonna keep it. You're gonna go for the full. You're gonna like kind of whip it back, have it.
I don't know. I'll figure that out.
Matt Smithy.
I don't usually do very much complicated stuff with my hair. Usually.
Like go for something crazy. Go for the Paul McGann, man. Do the Paul McGann, yeah. I mean, have you seen his audition tape? Like, his hair looks awesome in that. Like, I don't know why they just didn't keep his normal hair because it looks so good. No, had he cut it for the?
They originally wanted that hair on set, and then he cut it for another role, and so he came onto set with like shorter hair, and they were like, "Oh goodness, we really wanted you in that hair," so they scrambled to try and make a wig that looked like that.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like the hair looks all right, but like his real hair looked awesome, so awesome. But obviously, so we got a bit more news on the Time Lord Victorious stuff this week. We got like the reveal of 2 books which look and sound freaking awesome. They sound so good. So the first one, which comes out in October 1st, is The Night, the Fool, and the Dead. And from the synopsis, basically, the Doctor goes back in time to when the universe was everything was coming alive. So there was no death yet, nothing existed. And then this Koturah, not sure how to pronounce it. Would love an audiobook.
Cthulhu.
Yeah, Cthulhu. Creatures who spread through the cosmos dispensing mortality, which is a pretty douchey thing to do as a species, but hey ho. Yeah. So the Doctor kind of goes on war against them to try and stop them allocating death. And well, as we can clearly see on the cover, the Ood appears. Ood Sigma, I'm guessing that is, who's going to be like chasing the Doctor through time. And it just sounds so cool.
It does.
It's just
it brings up the question of how it's actually going to slot into things, but
yeah, because the thing is like at the waters of Mars, the Doctor kind of at the end of that, he's like, I've gone too far, and it's kind of at that point. But then he kind of messed around for a bit before he came to.
Yeah, that's the question.
I'm guessing it has to be between there. I guess he goes back on it. He's like, did I go too far? And then I guess yeah. Well, to be fair, at the end of Waters of Mars, like he does kind of fly the TARDIS a bit erratically to maybe suggest that. And then the Ood Sigma's Mike, you delayed too long, and that's why the Master came back. And like, even though the Doctor's trying to fly desperately to that mansion, when he arrives, it's all rubble already because he's missed it basically. So that one sounds really cool, and I think I will definitely get it. Which usually, like, even when books sound cool, I think like Time Lord Victorious is just a concept which definitely should have been developed more. But then we're gonna have to read this book quickly, Conrad, because lo and behold, December 10th, 2020, All Flesh is Grass. With the 8th and 9th and 10th Doctor in it, and it looks blooming awesome, and it sounds so interesting. So clearly this is like leading on from what happened in The Night, the Fool, and the Dead, or a lot happens in between the two in other kind of video game and all this stuff. But I feel like All Flesh is Grass is going to be the end, because in this one it's like the 8th Doctor's up to some. Like, it doesn't even specify which, but it's basically like the 9th and 8th Doctor are kind of going against the 10th incarnation, like kind of like battling himself for being like, what the frick are you doing, man? And like one is in league with the Daleks, it seems, and the other is manning a ship of the undead, which just sounds sick as fuck.
Yeah.
Just like that whole concept, and like the artwork is awesome.
Kind of a Doctor Civil War in a way.
It is. It literally is. And it looks awesome, and it sounds really great.
I'd imagine it'd probably be the 8th in League with the Daleks, and then
it's gonna have to be.
Because
War
I don't
Doctor.
think the 9th would stand that.
Yeah. And then the War Doctor, and then the 9th, even with the Ship of the Undead, which just sounds freaking epic. It seems like maybe the 10th Doctor manages to pull it off, but however, this has horrible effects. Like people can't die. So when it's the undead, maybe it means the immortal, rather. But they're trying to play it maybe like zombies, like try and like, but maybe because they live so long they like can't die. A bit like kind of grotesque, like you just kind of wither away. Like while you can't die, it doesn't stop you from becoming old. So a bit like kind of, I guess, what Captain Jack goes through, really.
I guess so, yeah.
Because to become the bloody face of Bo is going to have to become an old crippled thing for so long, you know? Like, forever as well. Like, you know, Jack it's still a sad story of Captain Jack. Like,
it is.
While we've only seen him as this immortal young guy, eventually he's going to have to become old and crippled and be in that state for thousands,
become a giant face,
millions of years, and then slowly, you know, become this giant face over millions of years, and probably by the time it's the face of Bo is, you know, happy. But I mean, at least we know he finally dies. Somehow the universe, I guess, shows him pity. I guess it's a strange one, and kind of talking about concepts which I wish would be developed more. That kind of like, how did the face of Bo die? Like, what decided, you know what, let's let this guy rest after living for billions of years. Like, because I mean, Jack is even more immortal than like the Doctor at this point, which is a crazy thing to think. Like, and it's like, that's why I love Torchwood, because at least those dark concepts could be developed. Imagine if Captain Jack met the face of Bo or something at one point, like that meeting. Like, he meets himself but doesn't even realize it. Like, that would be really awesome. Because it became canon that he is pretty much the face of Bo. Like, that whole meeting would be very interesting for like the fan base, because I think people who know Captain Jack know that he becomes the face of Bo. I don't think anyone who knows Captain Jack doesn't know that, because I mean, that happened at like the height of Doctor Who popularity, really, the Face of Bo episode, which I do need to watch Gridlock again, to be fair. And I know Russell T recently said it's like his best script for Doctor Who, whether that was some Russell T sarcasm in there, because I think he's written a lot better scripts.
Yeah.
But, I never thought Gridlock was bad particularly, but
no,
it'd be interesting to go back and watch it and see.
And like a bit frustrating in their use of the macro, really.
Yeah, I think it was a bit.
But that could have been anything. Why did it need to be macro?
I guess it was just supposed to be like a nice little nod for fans rather than.
It didn't act like macro in the slightest, though.
That's true. But I guess, they said, didn't they, that they'd kind of unevoluted.
I know. Well, that was they explained it, but it shouldn't have been that way in the first place.
Yeah, and my thing is if they were so dumb, how could they have got down there and not really? I know, like, how did they orchestrate it that all these cars would be there for them to feed on if they weren't smart, kind of thing? And I mean, they were massive when you actually watch the episode, like, way bigger than they were in the Macro Terror. Like, it'd be interesting. I think it was the only way you could really do those villains again without, like, in New Who, because the issue is when you look at, like, something like Arachnids in the UK, doing big CG monsters, like, where you can see them fully in camera, it never looks great. But at least in the Macro Terror, they were kind of, hidden in the smoke.
Not on Doctor Who's budget. at least.
Yeah, I mean that's the budget we're talking about here.
Well,
So
I mean, I think it worked a bit better in Gridlock because a lot of that was in darkness.
exactly, that's what I mean. It's like I think that's the only way you could really do the macro in Doctor Who without it looking naff like arachnids in the UK kind of did. I mean, arachnids, like the spiders looked okay, especially when it was in that big hall room, where it was all pretty dark and it was like kind of on the ceiling in the corner. I mean, it still gave me a bit of a creeps, even though it's not a good episode. Like, I still remember when watching it, thinking like, oh, like, yeah, like I would hate to be around like that. But it was a good idea. Like spiders are like have that, you know, arachnophobia, but like it was just a bit of a weak plot. Sadly. And really weird morals by the Doctor. It's like he shoots and kills the spider quickly, that's nice. But the Doctor's like, no, I'm gonna, you know, let them go peacefully. Basically, you know, kill them still.
Stuff to death.
Just like slowly, you know, choke to death instead.
Yeah.
Like it was a really weird, like
yeah.
I just can't believe nobody at any point was like, isn't this worse? Like a quick death where they don't even realize what's going on rather than scrambling around trying to get air. It was a weird one. I think maybe he liked the idea of a rap music getting the spiders to follow. And then it was like, nope, we're sticking with this. We got the rap music in there. We got this.
Probably.
I think he liked the concept too much that he went against the logic of the episode. But hey ho.
Too busy developing not Trump.
Yeah, that great side character. Thing is though, we all remember him as not Trump, don't we?
Yeah. What's his actual name? Who knows?
Oh yeah, I don't know. It's just not Trump, is it? It was just when freaking Graham was like, "Oh, he's going against Trump next like run." It's like, oh god, like just stop. Like that they actually name dropped Trump. It was just like, oh, Jesus.
And again, that follows up. It's like, how does that fit in with the whole? Before it was President Winters, and you know, like, are we actually getting real presidents? Like, we've got certain real politicians in there, and then sometimes we don't.
Yeah,
so
it's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean that's a whole
like Winston Churchill and such. But then, like in Green Death, we got name dropped like some other politician, which was never like prime minister or anything.
I mean, they've probably mentioned Thatcher a couple of times. I swear they've probably mentioned Thatcher at some point. But it's strange, isn't it? So it's like current day they keep it different, but then retrospectively they can revert back to it. But how can they ever go back to 2005 and not mention Harriet Jones?
Harriet Jones, yeah.
He was prime minister. Like, how can we not mention that? It's a weird one, Doctor Who.
And a brief time with Saxon, I guess.
Yeah, like
up to the point where President Winters gets shot, he is still, you know.
Yeah.
In office.
Yeah, he was in office for at least a good, like, couple of months at least before the whole year got reversed, which was a bit of an easy switch, but hey-ho.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you kind of had to. After that kind of... Sometimes if you do end a world destruction, you kind of have to revert it, or else the world would just be too different to go back to
I mean,
normal.
that would have been interesting, though.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. I think that's the thing I liked about... Spider-Man Far From Home. Far From Home, you know, it's clear that they're not just going to be like, Endgame, that was the last film. Nothing affects, like, what I do like about the MCU is that, like, there's all the waves that it leaves, you know, the ripples are spread across all the rest of the film, which is, like, that's the important thing. Like, that's what keeps people invested, because I think sometimes while in Doctor Who it's good that you just, next week's a different adventure, I think that these ripples do need to pop up in some episodes. I think it's like important, like Captain Jack showing up in the last series. I think actually was a good call. It's important. Like the Doctor's meeting so many people. The older that she gets, the more people they've met, the more she's going to rebump into these people. Like, you know, there's always going to be a chance, especially if they're going around space doing shit.
Oh, sorry.
No, carry on.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I always find that it's most like not just the people, but like the planet as a whole. Like a lot of these events happened, and yet Earth continues. And like in the modern series, like you see Earth, and like they don't mention stuff like the Daleks and whatnot, despite them having happened, like and being like this major blimmin' thing. And it's like the Earth continues as if we are here now, but like if you look at all the shit that's happened to Earth beforehand,
They would be
it's like
preparing, war, nuclear weapons and stuff,
there were dinosaurs wandering through the streets and nobody remembers.
See, I think they need to come up with a thing that, how like in the Black Archive, there's that memory wipe thing.
Yeah.
That actually UNIT put up like a ring of satellites, which wipe everyone's memories of said events, so that the world can carry on as usual. Because if left with that information of these events happening, like the whole world becomes obsessed with building weapons and war and and like kind of like that is the kind of ripple that I'd be like way more interested in seeing, and then someone could like latch onto it and make people forget, and then a whole invasion could be happening, but because the human race's memories are being wiped by this satellite system, that they don't even realize this invasion is happening because maybe it's been tampered with. Like that would be an interesting thing. Like imagine a Cybermen, and it's a bit like the Silence, like you kind of when you look away you forget. But it could be like, the Cybermen could be using it to try and convert everyone on Earth because everyone's forgetting. And then you could have the interesting thing that the companion is forgetting as well constantly. And they only manage to hold on to the memories slightly longer because they've been with the Doctor kind of thing. But it's it could be something like that, and it could be and then you could have a thing of a Doctor taking down the satellite system. So at the end of the episode, whatever happens in Doctor Who onwards from that point, the whole of Earth remembers, and you can see how that affects. You see these ripples, and that doesn't have to affect every single story. It could just be every now and then when you crop up on Earth in modern day, you could hint at the changes that are happening, big finale, with effects of these things.
I mean, they kind of flippantly mentioned the idea in series 10.
When?
The Doctor and Bill are sitting on the bench, and the people are taking pictures of these objects and such, and he's just like, it's the human race, they'll forget about it, something like that.
Yeah, he does. He's like, oh yeah, they always forget. It's
it's just like that. I don't know about that explanation.
And see, maybe if a Doctor knew about this satellite system, it would make a lot more sense. Maybe the Doctor, because it's part telepathic, he can tune in and make sure that it doesn't affect his companions' minds and certain people, and maybe because UNIT obviously have their own personnel who need to know about it, maybe it can they have chips which make sure it doesn't affect them, kind of thing.
It's solid until you think about it too hard, because of course there have been moments in the past where events have affected the future, you look at Waters on Mars, and the Daleks affected that, right, with Adeline's childhood. They appear to, because there was in the Russell T era there was somewhat of a I don't think it was taken as far as it could have been, but there was some sort of effect on Earth, and things were remembered from series to series and followed up on.
Wilf
and
was
then
with the
nowadays
Centaurans,
it's just it's almost like it never happened.
Yeah, well, maybe that's the thing. It came in around 2010 after the whole Dalek invasion, but everyone forgot about it because obviously the wave making people forget would be retrospective as well. It would wipe everything because UNIT could control it. Then imagine if a Cyberman
existed,
it would be interesting though. And then you could have a great Cyberman story with that, because they could take control of it and wipe memories instantly of a Cyberman. So whenever they see one, they don't even react to it, kind of thing. So interesting stuff. Or they could rework memories so that the new police force are these, metal cased agents. So that would be quite cool. You could get Cybermen in slight police style outfits.
Or I was thinking maybe it's just not even that, but it's some sort of cloaking field, and it's just they appear as if they're everyday normal people just amongst everyone, and just people just get converted, but nobody notices, but because well, it's just normal people.
Yeah,
They're just wandering about.
it'll be really cool, and I think then it's about like freedom of memory. Like the Doctor could be like, well, before and then the Doctor can be conflicted because maybe the Doctor supported it to start with, but then it's another form of slavery, isn't it? If you're wiping everyone's memory. Making sure that people only remember what they want to remember. And that's like a nice adult concept, which I think can still work in a family show. Like, I think it's important, teaches, kind of your freedom of thought, and that's precious to everyone kind of thing. I think that would be, and I think it would work really well as a Sideman story. I think it's something like there. And then you could get a cool reveal of a new cyber style, a new Cyberman design, basically, when like the whole
an actual new design
actual new design, yeah. And like how it all drops, or bring back the Ogrons, man, and then have someone else behind it. Like, that would be cool. Like, and you could have a really cool opening sequence where someone's like trying to, pre-credits, someone's trying to remember stuff before they forget. And like maybe they see an Ogron just as before the credits start, but then they revert back to forgetting. And then maybe they could even delete the file that they just made. It would be really cool. And then just, it's like, well, how is these people forgetting these aliens and so on, I think it'd be very cool concepts. So yeah, something like that kind of, like the effects of all the previous stories, I think has not been developed enough.
Yeah.
Same with like Time Lord Victorious would have been very, very cool. Are there any others? Any others kind of themes or kind of stuff that's happened in Doctor Who which you wish was elaborated on more or gone into more over the series?
I mean, there could be a few things, but
I mean, I always wish that obviously Time Lords from bringing Gallifrey back was always a missed opportunity.
I guess we briefly mentioned, kind of glossed over a little bit the part of La La Land, but like the Doctor kind of being this face propaganda for people. I think that, like, I would have liked to have seen more of that, like him being kind of like this evil,
It would have been cool if they'd done a load of social media stuff of him doing that, like special videos just for social media. I think that would have been very cool, of spreading this propaganda. Maybe there was and we forgot it, but I'm pretty sure there wasn't. But I think that's actually enough of a thing that would be important, just to better... I know. Do you remember when Series 2 was airing? Every week they'd release a little 30-second, like, little prequel thing to each story. So for like the werewolf one, someone gets attacked by the werewolf basically. And like every single episode, I think School Reunion had Mickey actually contacting the Doctor and
Stephen
Rose.
Moffat did more with that later on.
What, like
the online prelude? There was stuff for Series 5 and 6, wasn't there?
There wasn't one for Series 5, but for Series 7 there was Pond Life, for sure. And
I swear there was... Hang on.
There couldn't have been anything before. I mean, there was content, yeah, but I mean, like, actually in-character content. Because
they had these, like, prologues, I swear.
Maybe for Series 5 then, but obviously not Episode 1, because that was Matt Smith's first.
I'll double-check this, but,
I remember, but like that kind of thing, I think, but stuff while the series goes on as well, not just behind the scenes stuff, but actually, stuff which, while you don't need it to watch the episode, it's a nice little extra thing if you're watching it online, and it keeps that kind of interactivity going with the series. Something like that. I think that'd be something which could be utilised a bit more.
Just a few more things to
But I like, obviously, originally I was always wanted to see a bit more of a time war, but I think the 50th kind of covered that.
Well, and I think Big Finish is doing a very good job in kind of expanding on that kind of world. Like, I love the stuff that they've been doing with the Eighth Doctor and the things they were doing with the War Doctor with us. And the War Master School as well. They just got so many, like, interesting ideas of the ways they're expanding on that now. Where it doesn't. We don't really need more of that on screen. Like it's fine. It doesn't. We don't really need it now.
Yeah. It was banging.
Mm.
The Paradigm Daleks. I wish they'd done more with. Like you get all these colors, but then they didn't do anything with it. I think I think there was a video online and someone kind of explained it. It's like, well, the new Daleks are supposed to be new and scary, but all they do is destroy their previous ones and then run away.
Mm.
So from Victory of the Daleks, and the next time they show up is like Asylum, and it's all back to the Russell T Daleks. So it's like really, there should have been a new Dalek. It should have been a Dalek finale, really. If you were going to introduce new Daleks,
Yeah,
it should
probably.
have just been a Dalek finale to kind of actually show what these guys are doing. Because I remember that like the character building, they built these like Lego rip-off really, but they made like a Dalek factory which looked really cool. It was a really good set. I was always interested, like, oh, was there going to be a Dalek factory at some point, like in one of the stories that got cut, or
Maybe. Who knows? I mean, I think I don't know. I think they might have just been finding excuses of like things to.
Oh yeah, no, most likely. But at the time, I remember thinking like, oh, that's actually a cool thing. I wish they'd done more with
could have
those.
just been thinking of power at that point.
I wish they'd just done new designs of the Daleks and
Just to go back quickly, just to say there were a few prequels in series across series 6 at least, but it seemed like I remember the one for Impossible Astronaut. I definitely remember that one, but apparently there's one for Curse of the Black Spot, Good Man Goes to War, and maybe a few others. I haven't even checked part 2. But...
yeah, I think I remember that one. Isn't it Richard Nixon or something? Isn't it for the Impossible Astronaut?
Yeah, it was like in The Office, I think.
Yeah, in The Office, and is trying to yeah. No, I remember that one. But stuff like that, I really like those kind of prequel things. But yeah, I don't know. Grittier stories, I guess. Like Parexus, I thought was actually a really good, and Can You Hear Me was like those kind of that kind of sci-fi concept. I think is what's like the best where Doctor Who's at. When it's just darker, I think it's like I get having the fun adventures. Like I get that you need that in there somewhere. But I think at the minute it's too much the fun adventure. But the issue is if you don't balance that out with the darker themes, then it becomes too much of a kid's show rather than a family show. Because I think you have to have that balance, and that's why I think series 4 is the perfect kind of balance. It has like the fun at the start, and then as you go through the series, it gets darker and darker. That's how it should be every single series. Fun at the start, get people hooked, then go into the more gritty, darker.
And Fires of Pompeii was pretty early on, but
to be fair, yeah, that one it's still a fun, but it shows you like it's that strong kind of concept. Planet of You's pretty like a more of a fun one. That was like bringing back the Ood, they're back. It was
it was pretty dark in places, that one.
Yeah, to be fair, that series. Okay, maybe let's do series 3 then. It fits the thing a bit more. But it's like the hospital one with the Jadoon. That's kind of a fun one, and then Shakespeare's Code, which is still a banging story. I love that one. Then Gridlock, and then obviously the Daleks, so it gets a bit darker. The Lazarus experiment is showing like all the effects. Like her family are warning her off the Doctor and. Like, that was cool. That was a really nice seed sprinkled throughout where the woman comes up to the mum at the end is like, oh, we need to tell you about him. And you're thinking, oh, government stuff. And of course, that all connects to Saxon by the end, which is just so good. Like, you can see it all sewn together nicely. And there's just nothing really like that at the minute, which I think it's something. I think while Moffat tried to continue that, but went too detailed with everything that, like, there was just too much going on. So instead of like sprinkles, it was more like just pouring it by hand and being like, whoops, too much. But I still appreciate, that you try to do some stuff throughout, and
Yeah.
I feel like at the minute it's too. I mean, the last series was, I'd say, kind of sort of for the right amount, but the issue is when you've got 10 episodes, it feels like too much in too short a time. With 13 episodes, I think having a Fugitive of a Jadoon would have been fine, because then we would have still had 3 more stories, which would have, spaced it out between that one and the finale. But when episode 5 is that, and you 2 episodes in between, then you're already on the finale. So it's like it's too, I guess.
I mean, depends. I mean,
it's not diluted enough, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't affect the series as much, although I don't think it would have helped that story, really.
No. I'm not saying in terms of quality of a story.
It was actually a very similar situation to Let's Kill Hitler, I think, in a lot of ways.
No, I agree.
That's kind of the story I think it's most similar, just in regards to its place in the series, because it's just like...
right in the middle, shove a load of information at you.
It's not... Yeah,
story arc.
It doesn't really hold up as a story on its own. It's just like... No. Hey, let's feed this plot to you, so to help with stuff later.
They've put all the scripts up actually on the website. You can read all of the scripts from series 12. Yeah, like all the actual scripts, and they read really well. So, like, I was reading Fugitive of a Jadoon because I was interested in how they introduced Captain Jack. I was like, that'd be an interesting way of writing it. And yeah, it was really nice to read, and pretty much like I could see it happening as I read it. But yeah, I think as it's a lot like I don't know, just really dialogue heavy. Like there's some whole pages without any really description of what's going on, of just dialogue. And I think it confirms the thing, like just too much talking and not enough. You can do a lot by showing.
Yeah, show not tell.
Show not tell. And there was so many pages. I was like, wow, no description at all on like 2 pages in a row. And I get when you're mid-conversation, but there's no way you could show this through action or and just a lot of questions. A lot of question marks for Doctor Who. But I think like that's the issue. While Series 12 had it right with that kind of, at least keeping like the kind of seeds woven through, like with the Lone Sideman shows up in Villa Diati and so on, which was only 2 episodes later, that was I think you had like, I think Parexus, Can You Hear Me, then Villa Diati, so, which was like, oh, that was quick. Like, I thought we were going to get a bit more of this, like, build up to the Lone Sideman. Like, maybe the Lone Sideman was going to appear at the end of the 2-part finale. Like, they were going to defeat the Cybermen, but then there'd be one left, and he would be the Lone Sideman. And that was where they had to... And she loses it then at the end of the finale. So then you're like, oh, crap. So then it leads... up into. Because
I remember you were saying, like, I think before we watched the finale, it was like, well, a few weeks before, you were like, "Oh, they're not going to do them both at the they're not going to do them."
Yeah, I know. I clearly underestimated the kind of, I don't know, the confidence in them to be able to do both at the same time and effectively finish them. Because the issue is when you've got 2 story arcs like that.
Yeah.
There's only one arc which you can actually have as like the ending. Like you can only finish one off in the 3rd act, which means you have to finish another one off elsewhere, unless you somehow manage to somehow tie them together so that they perfectly interweave. But the Timeless Child was about Gallifrey children, and the Lone Sideman was about destroying humans, so you couldn't really cross those 2. Effectively.
The sad thing is that I found the Cyberman plot be the far more
interesting one, and that's the thing. And then he just gets destroyed by the freaking master so quickly, like, and that's why my thing at the end of the Cyberman deciding, I don't like these Time Lord Cybermen, they're not pure, and then being the one to destroy himself, even trying to kill the Doctor, but just trying to destroy that instead of just this old hermit who we did not know saving the day, and the Doctor just let die. Like, I don't get it. Like, this guy wasn't built up over the series. It wasn't someone we knew before.
No.
It felt...
I was kind of thinking at the end, like, maybe they're going to reveal him to be someone, but...
Yeah, you know, like someone important. No, just a guy. Just a hermit. And it was weird, isn't it? Don't you still find it weird that they decided to end this finale with random B side character?
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? It is weird. It would be fine in like a mid-series episode, you know, a bit like a Midnight where, you know, the hostess sacrifices herself to save everyone. Like, and that one's really impactful actually.
Yeah.
Which I think is what they were trying to go for, but yeah. And just it's just weird. It's weird. It's weird that like this guy they decided to go with that. I find it an odd. It's unsatisfactory, isn't it? It doesn't satisfy you as a conclusion. Just this old guy decided that he's going to do it because it was really good build up. The Doctor going off, and there was this really lovely walk and her theme playing, and it was really really nice. And I was thinking, how the hell is she going to get out of this one? How's she going to do it? And I was really interested. Guy just runs down the stairs. I'll do it. It was just so lame as like an ending, like like even the explosion's fine, but just who did it? It just sucked. Like the Doctor maybe should have been driven to do it, and then somehow she was teleported out there by the Jadoon before like she got destroyed by the detonation. I mean, the Master's gonna have got out of there, of course. So if the Master could have, maybe the Jadoon could have come and arrested both of them. Same ending. You've got the same ending where the Doctor's stuck in this prison.
Yeah. Didn't need that extra little bit of her on. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like the Jadoon come and arrest them before they get destroyed by this explosion. Then that's at least satisfying. And then the Doctor can then be like, oh damn, I was actually going to kill myself and my best friend / enemy. Oof. Like, you know, like... And then there would have been that effect of, wow, I was going to really commit genocide again. I actually did it. I pressed the button and I survived again. Like, I got to stop doing this. Like, that's an interesting concept. But nope, old man down the stairs. I even remember just watching this shot of him coming. I was like, oh, Jesus. Like, it should have at least have been Yaz or just one of the companions sacrificing themselves. Then there would have been somewhat, you know...
But the Doctor wouldn't have left then.
Well, that's the thing. Oh, right. So, because I barely know this old man, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, at least when he did it, he should have just snatched it out and just, like, been like, I'm going to detonate it, run. Not this whole conversation dialogue. Like, he should have detonated it before the Doctor even realised what was going on. But the issue is because it was, like, an instant detonation. Like, then you could have had a cool, weird scramble as the Master and the Doctor are both running down the hallway trying to get to TARDISes. Like, dragging each other down, like the Master's trying to trip up the Doctor and they're both running. You could have this... you haven't seen it. But, okay. Harry Potter Goblet of Fire. There's this one bit where they're both running towards the Triwizard Cup. And there's this, like, they're both kind of running, like, kind of... And they're competing, but they're also kind of friends. And they're both running towards this cup. And, like, you know, it'd be interesting to see the Master and the Doctor just both sprinting for their lives. Kind of both not really caring about the other, but it'd be a really interesting thing. Like, we've never really seen the Doctor and the Master team up like that. Like, or something along those lines. Like, I guess they wouldn't be teaming up in that moment, but it would be nice to see a story where they do team up.
I mean, we kind of got that.
Like with Missy, I guess, but I mean a full-on, like, actual to the end of the episode teaming up, something like that along those lines. Like, it would be cool to have like something like that. Just for one, where they put their differences, and like, because throughout the episode, the audience is going to be like, you can't trust him, and that would leave you on edge for every single thing that he's doing.
I mean, they kind of played with that a little bit. Like, if you look back at like Claws of Axos, like it was actually the Doctor that ended up being the untrustworthy one in that
That's true.
situation.
But I don't know. Well, I guess in Modern Who they haven't particularly done it yet, and it'd be interesting
No,
to have
because
an
the Master
episode.
hasn't been on screen long enough.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, they always just do. The
Because
Master.
the Master appears kind of so sparingly, like once here, once there, maybe a few seasons, you know.
We got a bit
maybe like an entire Doctor later.
We got a bit in Magician's Apprentice.
Yeah, with Missy they had her more in, like more consistently,
Which was
and,
nice.
and that's kind of the level that I kind of would like to see the Master.
When you do the Master, have them for like a whole series, like appearing throughout, and then, like, yeah, I think Missy, now in retrospective, was probably one of the best things of the Capaldi era.
Yeah.
Probably Capaldi being obviously the best thing. Then
but Missy in Series 10 specifically.
Missy in Series 10 with Bill and Nardole, like, banging series, so good. Well, maybe not the strongest stories, just in terms of consistency throughout, and the TARDIS team, and the variety, I really enjoyed it, so it was good.
Agreed.
And Extremis was awesome on a first watch. Sadly, on a rewatch, it doesn't hold up as well, but on a first watch, it was bloody awesome.
I still think it's a pretty well-made episode.
Oh, it's still a solid episode. Just the twist, obviously, you know it's coming, so it's not as mind-blowing when it happens. It was it was epic. Damn, so good, so good. Like, the Doctor's so smart that even in a simulation, he realizes. Awesome. So awesome. So he sends a message to himself, like, just epic. That was a really great concept, which I feel like they did enough with. Sadly, the third episode never really kind of held up to it, but the first two parts were awesome.
They're good, yeah.
Yeah. And while like part 3, Live-a-Land isn't quite as strong, I wouldn't say it's a bad episode. It's
not bad.
It just sadly, I think the monks just weren't developed enough as well. Yeah.
Like, you see that trailer and the Doctor being this, like, propaganda piece, and Bill having to kind of rise up against that a bit. It's just like, that was such a cool.
It's a finale kind of thing, isn't it? It's like really it needed to be like a 60-minute story of
kind of think like a Last of the Time Lord kind of thing, but where the Doctor's the actual
he's like a villain as well. Yeah. Obviously, you have to be under control, but it would be interesting, you know, to have this like genius. I don't think they do that enough either. Like the Doctor becoming because that used to happen, you know, sometimes in classic era, the Doctor would get hypnotized or stuff. Like,
not that often.
It'd be good if they did do that though, like, because it's episodes like that when the companion then has to rise up and obviously the companion's way more vulnerable than the Doctor. Companion dies, they die, you know.
Yeah,
like, that's it. They don't have regenerations, so that's why you always have to put the companion in more danger than the Doctor, because the Doctor's just too OP, really. Like, well, if the Doctor gets shot, you know, they'll regenerate. It's all good.
Unless you shoot them again when they're regenerating.
Unless you do that, but I mean, obviously they wouldn't kill off a main character in their show. You know, that's the thing. But we never know when they're going to kill off a companion. They should do it mid-series one time. They should just kill off a companion mid-series. Like, that's like with like Amy and Rory. I was really happy that they were only going to stay for 5 episodes, because I was like, oh, you know, this is like the classic era, and you don't have to wait to the new series to introduce a new one. You kind of get that mid-series, so you can. And then obviously there were all the breaks between it, so it might as well have been. But what's nice is, like, I would like that kind of like classic era feel where, you know, a companion's only there maybe for half the series and then they leave, and then a new companion comes in, and then it stops like the first episode having to be this whole retread of this is a TARDIS. You can have it like mid-series quickly.
I mean, they did that with but only with the secondary companions usually. Like, you'd have in the TARDIS. It'd be like Mickey, Jack.
You'd get secondary
Martha,
companions.
Adam, you know, just like.
Yeah, you'd get them, but they don't do secondary companions anymore, that's the issue. So
really, no.
It'd be nice, just, you know, like how in the classic era, you know, like Susan left in the second story of series 2, Barbara and Ian left the second to last story of season 2, and and
I
people
mean, that
just
was more, I think, based on how the recording blocks went rather than actually.
Well, I guess so, but in terms of like just a companion be like, okay, well, because if you just went to the person like, okay, we're going to need you for these episodes to shoot, and we're going to kill off your character, or something dramatic is going to happen, like no one would expect it. And then obviously on shooting days, they would get out that there's a new companion because on set and stuff. But you can even build it up as it's just a recurring character, and then boom, no, it's actually the full-time companion. Like stuff like that, it keeps people interested because they're like, oh wow, that was sneaky, that was smooth. How they kind of pulled the wool over the eyes of the audience. That's kind of what people want to see. They want to see people putting effort into hiding, because people want to know if you're hiding stuff. People want to know what's going on. So, but people want to know what's going on with you still showing stuff. Like that's the thing. It's like if you do no marketing, then you're screwing yourself over. But you got to market all the things that they want to see, but also don't talk about the stuff which they want to see. Don't mention if there's going to be Daleks or show Cybermen in the trailer. Leave that out. Like there's no need. There's no need.
Despite the fact that they'd probably leak anyway, but
well, if you do outdoor shoots, it's up to.
I always think that it spreads far more. If you're standing there, the BBC themselves are standing there screaming it out rather than some newspaper or like internet forum or whatever.
Yeah, it's like if you're gonna just don't do these shoots out in public areas. Then like.
Sometimes it's unavoidable.
Well, it depends what the script is. Don't write a script which requires you to... Like Magician's Apprentice, none of that, no Daleks appeared outside, and that's why it was a pretty good secret. Same with they had obviously John Sim in disguise filming on the streets for Dr. Fools, so on. They did some street, but obviously because he was in so much makeup, nobody recognized him. So it works, and it's just like, I don't know, just don't do stories where they're all outside and everywhere. Keep the shooting, sensitive. Just put a bit more money into hiding stuff so that you can reveal it when you want to reveal it and do this nice... Like, say you revealed Ogrons in a trailer, everybody knows that Ogrons work with higher species. Then it's, well, who's hired the Ogrons? That's the question for the whole series. Then it also makes people go back and check the past and look, oh, what's come before? Who are the Ogrons? Who are these guys? Are they a big deal? Because then you get newspapers to do the Ogrons return, classic series monster, and that's where you get your news reveal. You control it like that. And you make sure, like, you're like, okay, well, we'll give an exclusive to this newspaper, and then they do a push, and then you can make sure that in that article they have, but the Ogrons always work for someone, but who? You can end it like that. Make sure you tune into Doctor Who coming da-da-da. It's simple stuff. It's not hard. You just structure it so that, you're giving a taste, but not the whole thing. Because if you say Cybermen, everyone's like, well, okay, we're getting Cybermen. Like, but it's like, it's not even a surprise anymore. Like, what would be way more cooler is if we didn't know at all that the Cybermen were going to show up, and then boom, we got a Cyberman, story. Stuff like that. That's where it's interesting when you can hide what you've got. Why do you, obviously Daleks always get a bit more of a, sometimes it's good to push the Daleks, but I see like really no need to anymore. Like people will know or find out naturally as the series goes along. You don't really need them in the trailers. People will watch Dalek stories and, they'll have a whole week before, there'll be the next time trailer, which might show a Dalek in it. And boom, then you've got that whole week, 7 days until the next episode, where the news will go crazy and talk about it way more. And then everyone's like, oh, wow, the Daleks are back in Doctor Who. That came out of nowhere. I'm going to watch it, Yeah. And that's when you do the news push just a few days before it's on. And then you make sure every article says Doctor Who is on, Saturday at 7, Saturday, everywhere it's just plastered that. But when you do all these reveals before the series starts, you've got no start date to point to at all, and people are kind of like the casual viewer is going to obviously forget about that news.
Yep.
And that's the thing, like the whole John Sim revealing it at the start of the series kind of sucked. At least if it was revealed, maybe if it leaks and they had to do a press release, just do that halfway through the series. But if you've got people who are having to wait, 12 weeks before seeing, 11 weeks before seeing John Sim, it's like, that's a long time for people to be, especially the casual viewer who maybe watched during the 10th era, to wait. You want to do those pushes during the week, a 7-day, biggest push that you can do. Because fan sites do this shit for free. YouTube videos, people do it for free. They do all the news reporting for free.
They should be paying us.
Yeah. But these guys do. There's so much free coverage by fans anyway that then the newspapers are gonna want to do it anyway. You could be like, well, these guys are gonna do it for us. Like, it works maybe as a business. I don't particularly know, but I think you just have to actually aim for the push as the series goes on, rather than show all your cards before the series and then try and actually play a round of poker. Like, you're not going to do well if everyone knows your cards, because then the small reveals kind of, like, you should announce that the companion's going to stay enough a series. Whoops, nope, they left at the end. People are like, oh, wait, what? You should just announce lies. Like, you're not in any wrong place to be doing that. Literally kill a doctor at the end of a series when they're not even expecting it. Stop building it up. This is going to be their regeneration story. Just boom, catch them out of nowhere. Like, maybe even have them die at the end of part 1 of a 2-part finale. Have them dying throughout the episode. Kind of a bit like Capaldi was, so is regenerating throughout it. And then you've got the 7 days for people to be like, wait, is he going to regenerate into a new Doctor?
And then the biggest thing would be, like, if they did it in, like, episode 1.
Yeah,
like,
just
first episode, get sold. Like, at the end of that episode, regenerates.
Like, yeah, a mid-series. Have a series which covers 2 Doctors. Like, you could do that, especially if it's the same head writer. Like, tonally, it would be cool. And you could have just a 2-part mid-series story, which then the next week it's the new Doctor. Just new ways of going around it. Because I mean, that's a whole marketable thing, isn't it? 1 series, 2 Doctors. Like, that's freaking different. Like, it's like these out there ideas, but I mean, that would still sell. It would be like, oh, wait, crap, we're going to get a new Doctor halfway through a series. And, like, the reveal of who's playing the new Doctor is actually in the episode.
Yeah.
Not just, not ages before. Because why? Why do that? Just fuck it. Like, and you could build up, and maybe you'd have to announce, oh, this person's going to be playing a recurring character in Doctor Who. So everyone's like, oh, companion? No, they're the freaking Doctor. Like, that would catch people off. Because obviously if they're doing outdoor shoots and doing this and that, stuff would, stuff does leak. But if you just did, like, something cool like that, like, it would get people interested again. They'd be like, you wouldn't know what to expect. Like, kind of like the good thing about, like, Game of Thrones and Walking Dead in their early seasons is, people would die at any given moment. You'd have no idea no one was safe originally. Obviously, annoyingly, the later series goes on. Like, you kind of have to keep the main players alive. Like, that they're not going to suddenly kill this character or that character just because they can't narratively kill them. But, like, for something like The Walking Dead, like, it was so good to start with, and, like, characters would just die out of nowhere and you'd be gutted, but then it became really stale with, oh, background character, now they're suddenly coming to the foreground. Oh, suddenly killed. Yes, you care. You're sad that they died, is basically what it felt like they were doing. Especially when one character just kind of came out of nowhere, started having a storyline, then got killed. I was like, oh. That's pretty much the moment I stopped watching. Like, I was just like, they're going to keep doing this. And no, I carried on watching a little bit, and it was true. It was like every time they'd bring a side character to the foreground, they'd die like a couple episodes later. It's like, this is lazy. You're trying to make me care about people, and I don't. But at least with Doctor Who, with regenerating, like, you're not going to run into that stale thing because you've got a constant roster of companions and stuff.
Yeah,
like, it's infinite. But obviously, because you're in all time and space, you've got an infinite amount of characters. The issue with Game of Thrones and Walking Dead is you're stuck in these one places in these one worlds. So, there's more stricter rules, I guess.
Mm.
So, yeah, kill a Doctor mid-series. Just do it. Have a 2-part finale. So it's a big story, so they go out on a high, obviously. But why not? You know? Then you've already got the same companion, so you're not worried about having to have a new companion, new series, all that changeover. It'd be cool. And people would be like, wait, what? He actually regenerated? Like, you know, there'd be that whole spread, like Doctor changes mid-series. Like, you could probably convince an actor to do like, hey, just do a 2-part new series opener, and then we're gonna make you regenerate at the end. You know? And then they get to do, you know, or like do 4 episodes, and we're gonna kill you in like the 4th, and you're gonna regenerate. I was like, they would be pretty sick, like, you know, because then you'd get this Doctor to do all the press release, and then have this guy who's like, oh, I'm playing, you know, a surprise like a surprise character. So you get the other person would be showing their face and stuff. I'm gonna be playing a, you know, an ally to the Doctor, is how I'd probably get them to phrase it. Then boom, no, they are the Doctor. Suckers, you know. It would be interesting, it'd be different, you know. I mean, like, kind of like William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, like, in retrospective to that. Kind of, well, obviously we do it better, but Peter Davison to Colin Baker, you know. It wasn't even the final story of a series. Obviously, they mistread with the Twin Dilemma, but as a concept, it works well, because it means that in the next series, you can just get straight into it. You're not doing all this, you know. Because I think that's the issue with kind of having a Doctor either regenerate at Christmas in the Christmas special, which it always is, which really like grinds my gears. Like, it's just annoying because you can't have a build up, and that's why Series 10 was so great, because you have a whole series build up where you're watching this Doctor and falling in love with them again, and then they die at the end, and that's way more impactful than like having this big break and then an episode, and then at least with like Waters of Mars and. Well, even the 50th helped, was that tie over. But like the end of Series 10 to then Twice Upon a Time, I just felt was too big a gap. And we were kind of just ready to see the next Doctor at that point. Like, it felt like his arc was completed, and obviously, like, it was. But that's the issue. You can't really not end an arc and then leave it for months upon end before trying to finish the arc, because it's just not satisfying for a viewer. Like, you can have breaks in the series, that's fine, but then you need at least a couple episodes to then continue the arc, not just a 60-minute special. It just doesn't work as well. But yeah, I think kill a Doctor half series, or you know, a companion, or just do some surprises.
Do something,
do something different. Why are we? And that's what I was kind of touching on last week. Is they're not actually really changing anything. No. Like they've just changed how it looks and how they're like the logo and the intro sequence. Like, nothing's really changed. They're still playing by pretty much the same rules. I'm glad they did a series with just new villains. It's just a shame that all the new villains weren't great.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, it was a great idea. Let's do a brand new series. No classic villains. We're just gonna everything new. And I was on board with that.
Same.
It was just, you know, we got things like the Pating. Like, ugh. Like, if we got a Can You Hear Me and, you know, Parexus last series, that would have been good. They were good, like, villains. Like, this kind of... They were good. But, hey-ho. We got the Pating.
Yeah.
And that was so painful, because I love Base Under Siege ones. And they like, said this is a classic Base Under Siege... And then, God.
And I mean, it was just at the very low end of classic Based on the Siege.
Yeah.
So it's like one of the later series, Tom Baker.
Yes.
Based on the Siege.
Yeah. Leisure Hive, kind of.
Oh, no, Leisure Hive was better than that.
To be fair, yeah. Trying to think. I barely remember any later Tom Baker. I've only watched them once. I need to watch them again, really. I'm going to do my watch through eventually of Who. Back when I'm with my collection. The minute I'm parted with it. So, yeah.
Just reunite.
Yeah. I need to order that Power for Daleks special so I can find out about the Highlanders. I know. I'm gonna wait and find out. Wait for someone else to see what the Highlanders is.
I'll probably get it, but...
I will get it reluctantly.
It'll be obligation.
Yeah, I prefer the cover, to be fair, at least.
I mean, yeah, same.
But hey ho, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Oh, there was a slight Osgood thing, which was the Zygon
Yeah, that
inversion.
happened. I didn't see it.
It's a bit meta. They kind of talk about memes and stuff, and they're getting text from the Doctor. It's quite nice, but then they're like, "Oh, I've got a better thing you can do while we're in isolation," and then they actually get up the opening of the Zygon invasion. Like they actually start watching it, so it's a bit meta in that aspect, but. It was cool. It was strange, but it was nice. Sure.
I think there was a comic book once about a Doctor going to a universe where Doctor Who is a TV show. Like it was.
I mean, remember it's of the
That
Daleks.
actually was a thing.
Remember it's of the Daleks.
Oh yeah.
They say it. They're about the new science fiction program.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
Doctor. Cuts next to. It was very nice. I liked it. Though it's way too sunny to be November. That's all I'm saying. It happens like sunlight and that announcement's coming on, and November 23rd by 5:15 it would be dark. Like it would be nighttime.
They cut off the Who, so it could have been any sort of Doctor. It could have been Dr. Constantine this year.
Yeah. But there we go. That's it. That's all you're getting this week, folks. A nice rounded hour podcast. Because there's literally nothing else to talk about.
Nope.
So do all that usual YouTubey stuff. Dislike. Don't share. Don't hit the notification button. Definitely don't subscribe. Yeah.
Don't talk to me on my side.
Only mean comments. Okay. Don't want anything nice. That's awful. Tell everyone that you're wrong and that your opinion's right. There we go. I think I covered the whole basis there, didn't I?
Yeah.
There we go. That's what they all say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't buy our merch because we've got none.
If you do buy our merch, you should probably call the police.
Yeah. You can buy my funky glasses. Only £2. I got them for free.
Buy my used underwear.
Okay, we're stopping there. See you next time, guys. Bye.